Elf?
Jova?
I think someone stole Jova. It might have been Artemis Fowl.
Joe, do you have anything to say, Jova?
Okay, what?
Here's what I have to say.
Oh no.
No!
Oh no.
Okay, folks. Last Airbender was my most hated movie. It was my most hated movie.
And this movie dethroned it?
I'm going to find out if it truly has. All I know is that it makes me communicate in the ways of violence for reasons I can't quite remember after coming out of a red-hot rage for whatever reason.
Jova woke up today and chose violence.
Peace was never an option, Shiro.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you may know, 2020 was a pretty crap year. There are 3 movies in particular that I think define 2020. There was the ever well anticipated Scoob movie. You know how that turned out. And there was what is arguably now Disney's worst live-action remake, Mulan. But in between those two, there is quite possibly what people are calling not only one of the worst adaptations of a book, but one of the worst films, period. The film that has an even lower critical reception than Last Airbender and Dragon Ball Evolution, the one, the only, Artemis Fowl.
And here I thought you were going to say the New Mutants.
Okay.
Wait, what's New Mutant supposed to be an adaptation of?
Well, it's a comic, but still book.
You know what's ironic, Jovan? Since you mentioned that about 2020, ironically, it was exactly in 2020 where Pixar had their complete renaissance year with 2 great movies back to back.
So what you're telling?
Remember, after Toy Story 4, remember which movies that you hated?
So what you're telling me, Pedro, is that Pixar had to induce black magic. They finally reclaimed their talent, but the cost of it was 2020 as a year.
Yes, you see, Pixar got their groove back, but this was the cost.
And it seems that black magic might have also sapped a few some creativity powers from some people, because of all people to direct what is considered one of the worst movies of last year, it's Kenneth Branagh. His previous work included a lot of really highly acclaimed films. Hamlet, the 1996 version, the 2011 Thor, Cinderella 2015, and the 2017 version of Murder on the Orient Express.
Mm-hmm.
How did he go from those to this?
I mean, I would have said that he was going to pay the bills in anticipation of that one now, but by the time this movie started production, Fox had not been purchased yet. Delucidate me on this, Jova. How long has this turkey been in the oven?
Since 2001.
Jesus Christ!
So basically, this is a movie that Disney inherited from Fox.
Okay.
I actually originally believed that too,
no,
but
actually,
no, it's not the case.
That's the thing, Pedro. This was actually always going to be done by Disney. Like, Disney owned the book company Hyperion, which was pretty much publishing the Artemis Fowl series.
Once again, Jova, Disney wanted to compete with Harry Potter in some fashion.
And you know what? To be fair, Artemis Fowl is a very good contender. Like, Artemis Fowl is a slick, hot seller book series. It's essentially a book series about a 12-year-old criminal mastermind who wants to follow in his father's footsteps as the next head of all crime here and there. An Irishman who, of course, stumbles upon the fair folk, a bunch of fairies, though not as you would expect them from fairy tales here and there. He was smart, suave, but one thing that was very unique about him was that he was actually, well, the bad guy, in addition to being the protagonist. He slowly but surely became a charming but more well-meaning anti-hero to eventually a full-blown hero by the final 8th book, which was a very slow and gradual process.
We're about to see the entire story, aren't we?
Let me put things into perspective here.
First and second, apparently.
The plans for a film adaptation were announced in 2001. By 2003, Ian Colfer, the author of the books, stated that the screenplay had been finalized and casting was due to start the same year. But he did express skepticism over whether or not this would come to pass. And for good reason. This movie didn't come out until 2020, folks, which, okay, yeah, part of that extra year had to do with the fact that Harvey Weinstein had been ousted from the Weinstein Company due to certain things, but, more on that later. Basically, the film remained in development hell for quite some time until 2011. It was then reported that Jim Sheridan was introduced in directing the movie, with Saoirse Ronan attached as Harley. Yeah, Saoirse Ronan attached as Harley Short. Then, in July 2013, Walt Disney Pictures announced that they would produce an Artemis Fowl movie with the Weinstein Company.
Oof.
Yeah, it was only in 2015 when Kenneth Branagh was hired to direct the film for Disney, with Irish playwriter Conan McPherson as screenwriter and Judy Hoffland as executive producer. That said, in September 12, 2017, Disney announced that the film adaptation would be released on August 9, 2019. That's another oof. Of course, it was the following month then that they removed Harvey Weinstein as producer of the film for reasons, per se.
I can't imagine why.
Now, mind you, Ian Colfer did say that he approved of the script. That being said, Ian Colfer...
Cameron approved of stuff.
Well, not only that, Ian Colfer, the writer of the book series, when he approved of the script, this was long enough for the script to have been potentially changed at some point, rewritten, hacked up into something more disfiguring. And there's a lot to suggest that, this movie did get rewritten and restructured quite a bit over the course of stuff here and there. But, that being said, what was the end result of this movie? Well, okay, as you know, COVID happened, so this was apparently a movie that Disney weren't intent to try and, put out to theaters, and apparently at this point they hadn't thought up with a premiere access thing yet, since again, ended up coming out in 2020. Of June 12th. So they put it straight to Disney Plus. An interesting notion because of its theatrical release getting canceled. So what's the end result? The film holds an approval rating of 8% based on 167 reviews on an average rating of 3.7 out of 10.
Jesus.
We are in trouble. Okay, so book fans absolutely hated this movie. Ian Colfer has not said anything since the movie has come out, and probably for the best because, due to contract nonsense and all that, he could probably get sued for so much as blinking wrong at this movie. But the fact that he hasn't really come out talking praise about it ever since the start of the film is, quite telling. Not only that, this film was meant to kick off a career. Ferdeya Shaw. Who's Ferdeya Shaw, you may ask? Why, he just happens to be the grandson of Robert Shaw. You know, from Jaws, that Robert Shaw. Needless to say, I don't think this kid's chances in the acting work are looking all that great, considering.
What about reaction from non-fans?
Non-fans were either baffled by this movie, hated the movie, or were confused, checked the book series, and then they really hated the movie.
It's funny because I know a few people who liked it.
Wait. So, people who were fans of the books who liked the movie?
No, people who had no knowledge of the source material whatsoever.
I honestly don't know anyone who actually watched it, so I cannot help on that.
You know what? To be fair, if somebody has never read the book series, I guess you could maybe find some cool bits. Maybe you might like this.
Jova.
What?
There you go, Jova. Now you know exactly how I feel about Anne with an E. Good job, Jova. See? There you go.
Oh, I'm Pedro. This is worse than Anne with an E. This
Okay.
is way worse than Name with an E, but you know what? We've already spent 10 minutes setting you up for the actual setting of this movie. Tio will,
We-
of course, provide time skips here and there for those if you wanted. But let us begin the dissection process of this corpse here. So, prepare for the autopsy. Start at the Disney custom logo in 3, 2, 1, click.
To be
And
fair,
follow
guys, we
children.
did ask some questions, so it's a collective effort.
Yes.
It's not just that, but so basically, Joe, what you're saying is that this was one of the hardest, longest to take shits that Disney has ever taken.
apparently, like, trust me, everybody got hurt by this movie.
It's all okay. The only difference between this with the Kingdom of the Sun was that Kenneth Branagh and the other were not fired in mass and treated like shit. So there is that, but
I mean,
it's close
Braddock
to
at least
that.
has. I mean, Braddock at least has Death on the Nile to hopefully.
Yeah, I'm still
restore his
waiting on that.
reputation.
Yeah,
He will need
Well,
to.
Foul Manor, Ireland.
So yeah, we start at Fall
Hey.
Manor in Ireland. So we start off with the supposed uncovering of the crime family name known
In
as
mass, what is this? A
Val.
Frank Miller story?
It's
Oh,
Exposition News.
Okay, there are better ways of explaining this to us, but whatever. Hey, Jovan,
Yeah.
I'm getting Sonic fan film vibes right now.
Oh, and the title is just this: simple font slap. Like,
Wow.
Oh yeah, my favorite channel, 124 International News.
no, okay. I have to say,
already
for
have
this
issues
kind of
with this.
for this kind of fantasy movie, you would expect them to wait like 2 or 3 minutes and then have the title like form on top of it. Remember, in contrast to stuff like the
Oh, hey,
Also, Jack
Hagrid.
Black, what are you doing here?
What is Hagrid doing here?
Actually,
Jack Black,
Excuse me?
have we
actually,
arrested you on one of your parties again?
Tio, that's Josh Gad.
Oh,
British
God.
intelligence?
Yep, British Intelligence.
Yeah, my six. But no, what they say? Remember the Harry Potter theme? The stylized font, the score kicking. Instead, here it's treated like it's a police drama.
Hey, Dwebs, how much you want
An
to?
hour here? What?
Yep,
Yes,
yep.
Java?
At MI6, how much you want to bet that Kenneth Branagh is going to regret that a Kenneth Branagh title placed so proudly in the credits?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I bet he wishes his biggest regret was still Jack Ryan's shadow in credits.
Mulch
Diggins? What the hell does that mean?
Okay, this is stuff that will come into play later, but yes, Josh Gad is playing Mulch Diggums, a very integral character to the plot, who will be our narrator of this story. And before you ask, no, he wasn't the narrator in the books.
So wait, is this like a medias res thing? We have to reconstruct
Yep.
how we arrived here?
Oh,
Oh, for
really?
your
Joe-
delight, Jova.
Jova's favorite.
You know what? Honestly, this is one of the least of my things, but here's the thing. Josh Gad is terribly miscast as Mulch Diggums.
Also, the term that he used, aculos, I hate to tell you, buddy, but in a couple of countries in Europe, that term is very close to say ass.
Now, believe it or... I could tell you what he's supposed to be, but that
Well-
would be getting ahead of the movie. Though the movie is
Considering
pretty
he's supposed to be
terribly
the
paced.
Hagrid standing like a giant or something.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a dwarf, actually.
Okay, can I talk
Huh.
about? Can I talk about how that opening before this scene was one of them was incredibly inelegant and felt incredibly rushed? Seriously,
Also
they just have-
unfitting.
They just have the newscasters suddenly start expounding on the characters and the overall basic premise, and it went by so fast I couldn't even make much of it.
Okay, so basically, Mulch tells them, no, this isn't about Artemis Fowl Sr., this is about the son, Artemis Fowl Jr., and let me show you the infinite possibilities of the
Why
world
couldn't
of
we have the
magic.
title here?
And let me just say this right now, him telling them this story is an immediate middle finger to the lore of the Artemis Fowl books, but again...
Because he remains undercover for most of it.
Well, again, I'm not going to get ahead of the movie here, but when it becomes apparent, I will let you know. So,
Sure.
we start off with Artemis Fowl, the kid here, doing surfing. And this is immediately a problem here.
Thank
Our-
you.
Also,
Thousand,
Judy Dench. What is
Judy.
Judy Dench doing here?
Judy, if you're not up for making good movies anymore, just retire already. I'm tired of watching you
You're
embarrass yourself.
you're a great Shakespearean actress.
Oh!
You had a fantastic career. And
Tia.
little a good note,
Tio,
please.
Hey, Tio. Wait, hold on, Dwibs. Oh, by the way, Patrick Doyle's the composer for this movie, to your delight, Dwibs. But, Tio, you said that Judi Dench is a Shakespearean-trained actor. How do you like her playing a rough beat cigar-chomping cop, then?
I mean, I guess it's...
I guess miscasting is the name of the game with this movie, then?
Oh,
Acting against type is a trope that I kind of have a guilty pleasure of, just to see the result of what happens, but I know for a fact that they barely never ever works.
Was Judi Dench trying to find a worse film than Cats?
well, she may have succeeded, depending on it.
Just because you can do something that
But
doesn't
guys-
mean you should, aka 1,000 words.
Okay,
Hey,
can you
guys.
stop the quick zoom in? Also,
guys.
goat.
Guys,
goat.
hey guys, want to know a
Jimmy?
great way to convince your audience that the character is a genius? Tell them instead of showing it.
Okay. Does the
Oh.
edit...
Yeah,
Okay, school
yeah.
psychology.
yeah, I
Oh,
should probably
boy.
mention the editing of this movie is bad, but okay, here's where things get even more dumb. I know, pretty early in. This movie is essentially combining books 1 and 2. This is a scene from book 2, where Artemis is having a little talk with a child therapist here and there.
That's nice to know, dude, but can we get back to the point? Because I don't think we're here to talk about you.
No.
Goddamn chair.
You've actually got to pay attention to that because that's going to be slightly important later to
Is
show
the
off his
punchline
smarts.
is that Artemis steals the chair under his ass?
I wished, but no.
Okay, we'll say this.
And
The
it's-
ki-
the protagonist likes Albert Einstein. That means he's smart.
Okay, we'll say this. The kid actor performance seems fine to me.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just that so far it seems that they gave him a very, very smug, holier than thou attitude.
To be fair,
Sounds like
okay,
his voice is dubbed.
to be fair,
Looks like
oh,
a-
well, yeah, that's the thing, Dwibs, there's a lot of ADR done in this, because, again, there's a lot to suggest that stuff was changed, and speaking about stuff that was changed, Angeline Fowl is dead in this version. Yep, Artemis Fowl's mother is dead. Ignoring the
Did
fact, except, here's the thing, in the
She had a
books,
Disney office.
she was alive in the entire book series. In fact, it was literally a plot point by book 6 that in order to keep her alive, Artemis had to do a certain thing, well, basically a time travel venture to get her a lemur, which would help her be cured and whatnot. It makes sense in context, but regardless, she's dead. But get this.
Got to have drama, Jova.
Here's the thing, though. There were scenes shot with her in it, played by Miranda Rayson. However, those scenes were not used, which leads to the credence of the theory that the script that Ian Colfer gave his blessing to is vastly different than the script that actually turned up. Because...
Is it a situation like World War Z where the opera book at some point just said, fuck it, you can do whatever you want and I'm not gonna give a single shit?
Anyway, sorry for talking over it, but we just had a scene where Artemis smugly points out how that chair could not be the real chair from Buckingham Palace. That said, though, Tio, in regards to Artemis being smug, that's the thing. In the book, Artemis is essentially child Hans Gruber. He's essentially that person who you turn to when your back is turned against a wall. He's often the smartest person in the room, and he knows it because he could back it up. Mind you, that is in the books. Here,
No, you don't.
God, here's
Why
here's
did
an
you do this to yourself?
Here's
Why,
an
Colin?
here's another bit of an FU here. See, here's the thing. In the book, Artemis Fowl's father had gone missing, and his mother was going insane from the grief here and there. Basically, Artemis Fowl was a villain, but he did have redeeming qualities, i.e. closeness to his family, especially his mother, who was going insane, and oh, this is another FU to the book! Artemis Fowl's father is the one who teaches him all about the fairy folk. That is not how it went in the book. In the book, Artemis Fowl's father imparted onto him a severe set of skills, facts, and knowledge. He pushed his son so that his son could eventually inherit the Fowl crime family name, essentially. It was when his father went missing that Artemis had to more or less become the man of the house, and that's when he pushed himself to take crime up to it. Here, his father is teaching him about fairies. I mean, now granted, the son doesn't believe that they exist, but he's telling him all he knows about fairies, even though finding out about the fairies and how they worked was supposed to be Artemis's own accomplishment.
First Dumbo, now this. Colin, do you want to destroy your career?
Well, I mean, that was interesting though, because at least in this movie, he gets to play an Irish person, which he himself is.
Okay,
Mhm.
now don't get me
Kind of like
wrong.
Bullseye in Daredevil 2003.
Nice.
Okay. Now, in case you're wondering, it's not a complete FU that Artemis Sr. is around in the house at all. Granted, he's not supposed to be present at the start. Heck, not even in the entire first book. Now, that being said, they do combine aspects from Book 2, which will explain his presence later.
From what I can understand, Jova instead is that the book portrayed Fowl Senior in a more, not necessarily antagonistic, but more severe kind of way, the way he taught his son how
Yes.
to, become an adult. While here instead it's instead is actually more comprehensive, and
Oh, not only
a
that, he's
gentle
a...
way, which makes Artemis come across as the dick in the situation.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was supposed to be his father's influence on him as a child that made him
Like
act all like that.
Like I know that you normally don't like this, Jova, but normally the whole idea of putting someone worse to make a dick character more sympathetic in comparison, there are situations where this can work, and I can see
I
the situation you
absolutely get
described
it.
in the book would be a case like this. But instead, the way things are formulated here make it kind of have the opposite effect.
Oh, trust me, I get exactly where you're coming from. But essentially, Artemis Foul's father has to go off on another business trip because...
I'm sure it
despite-
returns to an offer.
Yeah, totally. So, as you can probably guess, by the rants I've had already, this movie does not exactly follow the book to the letter. Also, another thing I'm going to point out, you may have noticed that Artemis was surfing. Artemis Fowl Jr. is practically allergic to exercise. It was only by book 3 when he was forced to learn to take some self-defense lessons. He hates exercise. He is the cold and calculating fellow, but he cannot really be bothered to do so much as play a game of basketball, let alone do surfing, one of the most difficult sports out there.
Okay, I would have said that Disney would have tried to market the movie in a way so that Artemis would be, relatable, a figure to the target demographic. But this movie barely had any marketing anyway, also Lego.
Well, actually that's Connects, but yeah, they are technically kind of related to Lego, but get this though. Now Artemis is this cool kid who not only is athletic, but also super smart. Almost feels like it makes it so that he doesn't have a weakness. I mean, yeah, he technically still does have a weakness, but I mean, I feel like... Oh.
Recognize that guy? He was in Pan.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
He was also in Game of Thrones as well, and Jesus, his eyes...
And he was in the Cinderella 2015, which was also...
Oh my god! So, yeah, as he just said, this is Domovoy Butler.
Played by Nonzo Nosey.
Oh my god!
Is that like a joke? That's his last name, but he doesn't want to be called like that.
Here's the thing! That is all anyone knew him by in the book until the third book. In fact, you were not supposed to know his first name. His first name was a hard, well-kept secret that only the people closest to him were supposed to know. It was supposed to be a way to be able to prove if somebody was actually who they claimed to be because they would know his name. It was under utmost security that he only be known as Butler, which is his last name. And here, they just have it be the exact opposite. He hates it if you call him by his actual name, and he prefers that you call him Domovoy, even though you're not supposed to know his first name is Domovoy. But it gets a little worse here, because Butler is one of the cases where they chose to change the race of the actor here. See, originally Butler is supposed to be Irish-born with basically a Euro-Asian form of descent, more light-skinned here and there. Now, normally, I'm not against diversifying the cast up here. Here's a bit of a problem, though. Also, dramatic dropping of milk.
Don't cry over spoiled milk.
Let me pull you away from the TV for
Some
reasons.
reason.
But yeah, here's the problem with making Butler black here. Now, it has been said in both the movie and the books that the Butler family lineage has been serving under the Fowls for quite some time. For quite a very long amount of time. Now, if it's someone of Eurasian descent, you might not really bat too much an eye at it. But when you change the race to people who are black, and mention that they've been serving them for years on end, and he hates being called the Butler.
Classic trapping of, modern adaptation that want to be inclusive but really don't think this through.
And that's the thing! They changed the character whose skin is actually referred to as nut brown, which we'll get to later, to being
Jesus
full-on
Christ,
Caucasian.
Was it imprisoning?
Chains.
The kid playing Artemis, he looks like a younger version of the actor of 2017 Gilbert Blythe from End with an E.
Okay, so here's where we bring in some of the Book 2 elements here. See, Artemis Fowl Sr. is actually, in the books he was pretty much presumed dead because he had been missing for years. But it turned out he was being kept by Russians in secret to later be used and extorted when they found out who he was. Here he is captured, but it's someone different, which, I'm just gonna let you know, once again spits in the face of the books. To be fair, I've had a long line of ranting about how this pretty much spits in the face of the books. So, okay guys, let's ignore the books here. Since this is like your first new bit to it, what are your first impressions of the movie? Without
Way
the books?
too fast-paced.
Yeah, in a more general sense, for me, it's badly presented.
Well, gee, maybe
I can get behind this universe, but so far they have done a very, very messy job in trying to present it.
Right?
Okay.
That's the most baffling thing. I mean, Kenneth Branagh's shown in stuff like 4 that he can flesh out worlds pretty well. Here it's like a billion miles an hour.
Hold on, yeah, Sherry?
I don't really have any thoughts yet. I think it's a bit too early. The only thing I'm thinking right now is that I wish I was there to see Jova's initial reaction to this. It would have been a treat. I'm sorry, Jova, but
No, I understand. Part of the entertainment of this is probably going to see me be boiling at this movie anyway.
For the record, audience, before this movie came out, until that point, and until Jova started talking about it, I did saw the Artemis Fowl book being released in libraries. They were actually marketed here, but I actually never bothered for one reason or another. And for a long while, I just believed, okay, it's a copy of Harry Potter done to ride its success.
Oh,
so
trust
I didn't know all the details about it, the deets
about
it.
Let me put it like this: if you just saw the movie, you'd be excused for thinking it's a ripoff of Harry Potter. But the books were anything but. Whereas Harry was a wizard who was struggling in this new world he found, Artemis was a bastard child. Well, okay, not a bastard child, but he was like, he was like this smarmy little punk here who strutted into this new world armed with knowledge. Oh, by the way,
Did the adapters think that was too rough of a character to put on screen or something?
Apparently, whoever made the script as it is now thought that we wouldn't really want to enjoy seeing someone who's essentially a villain protagonist, or, someone who knows his stuff. Also, yeah, the Irish Blessing. It was hidden in a journal called The Irish Blessing. Although, from what I've heard from actual Irish folk, The Irish Blessing is not as long as a book. It's like 3 pages or so, wouldn't anyone find that a bit suspicious?
Jova, I have a question.
What?
Is there any how long until we have an actual line of dialogue that is not just the characters expositing to the audience, exactly?
Well, gee, Pedro, maybe trying to mush the plots of Book 1 and Book 2 was a bad idea, given how much they
This is the last Airbender.
I was gonna say more series of unfortunate events.
The movie or the show?
The movie.
Really?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, okay,
a few books being condensed into one thing.
Okay.
except yeah. I mean, yes, I've already addressed my issues with the series of Unfortunate Events movie and our commentary of that.
Yes.
That being said, it at least got the events it did portray accurately, albeit a bit too fast paced. Plus, we had some good performances from the cast, especially Jim Carrey as a slightly more comedic than usual Count Olaf, even though if I do prefer Neil Patrick Harris overall.
Okay.
Oh, Gremlins?
The
Well-
issue with this movie is that none of the acting is really all that great. Stuff's going by even faster than in Series of Unfortunate Events, and what stuff we are seeing isn't interesting.
Okay, so this is Captain Holly Short, one of the main characters of the series. Now, they did thankfully get her cherubic face right. However, in the book, she's described as having nut brown skin. That being said, in the graphic novel, she was also paler too, so I don't know what to think. That said, I'll say this though, it would have made more sense to make her be played by a black actress than, well, again, what they did with Butler making him black, because, again, it's funny. It's one of those cases where diversifying the character works against the story and the implications. For a movie made by a company that's trying to be more woke or progressive, they essentially made things come off the very opposite. Oh, goody, so these are dwarves. But he's a dwarf as well.
I swear, the way Josh Gad's character looks, he literally looks like a younger Agrid.
Yeah, I know. Oh, this
Sure.
is...
Like,
So, okay, wait,
it's
hold
like
on.
all the act-
Hold on, I have to point this out. So here's the thing, also, I will get into the problem with those guys later, but Maltz Dickens in the movie suffers from being a tall dwarf. This is not how it was
Funny.
This is not how it was in the books. He was a regular-sized dwarf. I don't know why they added this. Apparently they just didn't want to shrink down Josh Gad, I guess. So now he's a giant dwarf.
It's kind of dumb, but
It really is. It adds...
It's like all the actors in this movie were trying to find worse films to be in than the ones that they considered their worst. Colin Farrell's trying to be in a worse movie than the 2012 Total Recall remake. Nonzo and Nonzi's trying to be in a worse film than Pan. Judi Dench's trying to be in a worse film than Cats.
And Josh
Anything
Gad...
missing?
So what you're saying, Dibs, is hello.
Whoopsie.
Can you-
Yeah, okay.
I swear
what's
Josh Gad
considered-
is trying seriously to be like Jack Black in these scenes.
Well, okay.
What's Josh Gad's... What's considered his worst film?
Josh Gad, maybe this one, I guess.
I'll check
I
in the
meant
meantime.
before this one, I mean.
I'll check in the meantime, go on.
But yeah, basically, he's not
Shit, he was in Murder on the Orient Express as well, and that was a Braddock film too. What the
Okay,
hell
okay. To be fair, one thing they did keep in character is Mulch's penchant for thieving. In the Artemis Fowl lore, dwarves have a lot of natural abilities that make them natural criminals, essentially, which, well, because it makes it so easy, they find it in their nature to go thieving a lot.
But anyways, we have good news. We have one line of dialogue that's not exposition. That green dressed elf just said to the other one, and that's it.
Oh, God.
I found what was Josh
Pixels.
Gad's lowest rated film until Pixels.
Okay.
Anyway,
I won't reveal who the shadowy figure is yet, because again, one criticism at a time. Ha! His fairy godmother!
subtle.
Okay, basically the way things work in the Artemis Fowl lore too is like, well, all these species are referred to as different forms of fairy. Elves, goblins, dwarves, or whatnot, they're considered part of the fair folk, essentially. Like,
Yeah, classic Celtic stuff.
So, this is Briar Cudgeon. Okay, so for some reason, he's in jail in the movie. See, here's how it went. In the books, in book 1, he was a misogynistic guy who was pretty much going up the ladder, but being very subtle and clever about it. He only got caught because he overstepped, and well, Root... Also, yeah, they're called Leprechaun, aka LEP Recon.
Again, subtle. Hey, Judy.
Judi Dench! Oh, God.
Sweetie, no.
The criticisms are just leaping off the screen, but I will do my best to handle them one by one. But this might as well be handled first. Judi...
Okay, hold on, Brandon. Can you explain to me what the Oculus is? I think I.
Yeah, I mean, that's another
MacGuffin.
problem.
Again, it's pretty much clear from the previous scene they established it's the MacGuffin the villain want and Artemis has to find.
Yeah, I'm having the exact
That's
same
the
problem.
That's the problem
Right.
with this movie. They say all these different things, but don't even explain what they are. Also, Judi Dench is a police chief.
Oh, yes. Yes, she is. So,
Yes, Major?
Go ahead, Jova. Finish.
So, first start here. You may notice that there are a lot of female members in LEP or
yeah, this is what I know.
Leprechaun. Here's the thing. Our character here, Holly Short, she had a massive character arc. That being that she was literally the first and only at the time female officer of it. So, part of her character arc was her struggling against the inherently sexist nature of the fair folk here and there. Problem! The Commander Root is now played by a woman, Judi Dench. Mind you, Commander Root was a gruff, very gravelly-sounding, cigar-chomping commander who didn't need a moped to ride around like Judi Dench does because, you know, she's kind of pretty old, so why did we hire her for this? Regardless, though, I get wanting to go against the type here. But making Commander Root a woman, let alone the fact that there are now plenty of women in the Leprechaun, robs Holly Short of, well, being a better Mulan. Well, okay, not necessarily Mulan because she doesn't have to hide her gender, but yeah.
The one time, like a story about, having a female character that can prove, herself in an ambient that's literally against it, it's served on a silver platter, and you don't even take it.
Not only that,
Because there's the other trapping. See, there are no problems. Everything is fine.
Not only that,
basically you're saying that Disney, who normally like to do stuff like that, have a film where they could do that and it would be in service of the story and just say, no, we're not doing that.
It gets even worse, though, because it wears away at Holly and Commander Root's relationship. See, Commander Root was... Well, he was a man in the original book series. He was very tough on Holly, but that was because he saw through the sexist bullshit for what it was. He pushed Holly so that she could be not only a great officer, but the best to convince the society that, yeah, we should let female fairies in on that. And that would eventually come to culmination later on in the series. Here, nah, it's just fine. So you may wonder, what character arc does Holly have? Oh, wait, hold on. This is Juliet Butler, by the way. Now changed from being Butler's 16-year-old sister to being his 12-year-old niece, the same age as Artemis. So, Maltz tells us about how she's also a badass, and what do we see her do as her first act of awesomeness? Make sandwiches!
Okay. What is this movie?
I don't even know.
I'd call
Also,
it a...
Jova,
Yeah?
like, the only reason I could think as to why they would make that one character a woman is because they were cowardly and didn't want a guy in the role because, I don't know, implications or whatever.
Like,
But I can't think of what else it would be. It's a stupid decision. I absolutely agree. I'm just trying to figure out why.
oh,
mean,
wait. I gotta point this out here. So, Foley here is a centaur. In the books, he is pretty much the tech support, the guy who knows everything. Now, I'm not going to say this is inherently racist, but the guy who's playing tech support, he's played by an Indian.
Oh, great.
I mean,
We have learned nothing from Short Circuit.
Okay. Seriously, this is Power Rangers level of what were you thinking? Like, oh, by the way, fun fact, you already know about the infamous having the black actor play the Black Ranger and having the Japanese woman play the Yellow Ranger, but believe it or not, originally the guy playing the Red Ranger was going to be Native American. Like, it would have been nice to have had him in the lead role, but... Damn.
I mean, that's the thing, Jova. In Zeo and the first bit of Turbo, the Native American was the Red Ranger.
Man, 10 years later is definitely right. I'm literally feeling exactly like when I watched Last Airbender in theaters. I'm completely lost track of whatever the hell I'm supposed to care about.
Maybe this was secretly Kenneth Branagh's attempt to tribute The Last Airbender on its 10th anniversary by doing exactly the same thing that did.
It
Okay,
really
it
How do you know
generally
what's
begs
even
the
happening?
question to me on who dropped the ball here. Someone had to.
a lot of
Clearly
people.
someone had to.
I'll throw a few bits of blame. The writers of this film, obviously, Kenneth Branagh, because I mean, the guy as experienced as he is, you think he'd know better by now.
And I kid you not, guys, all the bullshit is piling up. I have to interrupt myself to talk about what's going on screen while
Like
in the
a
middle of
third
talking
and
about
it
all this
seems we need a
stuff.
bigger shovel.
I mean, it's lucky for Kenneth Branagh that a bit after this, Tenet came out.
Oh,
And
but-
of course,
played-
this operates on.
basically-
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
Basically, he played the main villain in that film.
And of course, we operate on the whole humans are not allowed to see us rule.
which brings me back to the problem here. Molt Diggums, a dwarf, is telling the MI6 about the fair folk, which breaks the #1 rule. Wait. Oh, by the way, guys, exposition here. See, instead of Holly being ostracized because she was a woman, we came up with a new backstory for her, which Briar Cousin is conveniently telling us. I'm telling Commander Root, even though she should already know that Holly Short is the daughter of the traitor Beechwood Short, who stole the Aculus originally for unknown reasons.
Okay, I guess in way to connect properly to the events, but also side note, those particular shots that had the other guy and really Cecily.
Yes.
Okay.
I know I mentioned the Avatar, Last Airbender comparisons earlier,
Yeah.
but if there is one thing that I think this film has over that one, is the acting.
Yeah, you know
mean,
what?
it's not-
Yeah.
It's not.
Me?
It's not. I mean, none of them are exactly on their A game per se, but at least none of them sound like they're stoned or bored or
Mi non
had all
uzzo.
energy drained out of them.
Can't you visto la pata volare?
But
Sorry.
yes.
And the effects are not embarrassing.
Oh, wait.
That's true.
Okay, I will admit this line's actually good.
Oh.
Okay, so here's the thing though. The fairy who has his father, and mind you, his father wasn't being held hostage by a fairy in the books, but whatever. The fairy who's holding his father has given him a time limit of 3 days.
Yeah.
So here's a problem here. In the original first Artemis Fowl book, he didn't have a time limit. Believe it or not, Artemis was the villain. What was he doing? He wanted his hands on a whole bunch of fairy gold. One to help restore his family name in the secret underworld, because at the time the Fowl family had not been properly uncovered as criminals, unlike in the movie. No. He wanted to be on top of the criminal empires and whatnot. And what better way to do that than, well, to restore some of the family fortune by kidnapping a fairy and essentially holding them hostage for gold. Now,
Oh boy.
it's an Italian wedding to you, I think.
A specific Sicilian one, which means we can have double the stereotypes. Hooray!
But, yeah, okay, essentially the plot of the first book is this. It's Die Hard, but Hans Gruber is a 12-year-old Irish boy, and John McClane, who's kidnapped, is essentially a female leprechaun. Well, technically an elf, more so, but yeah. Anyway, basically, the reason Holly was... okay, yeah.
No one is seeing this.
Oh well.
This
Holly
is
has.
I'm sorry. Okay, no, but time out. This is a Sicilian wedding. You're guaranteed that at least someone has to peek through the window of any nearby houses. Oh, now you see something.
That troll just freaking yeeted that girl. But anyway, basically, just like in the book, the reason Holly is sent out is, well, to check on a loose fairy, in this case a troll. Trolls are some of the largest fairies out there, and they are very rambunctious. They don't always follow the code well. And just like in the book, here's a troll wreaking havoc on a wedding.
And no one has a Tommy gun to shoot its ass. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Alright.
This is just dumb.
Okay. On one hand, I do respect Judi Dench for her longevity as an actress. I mean, when she filmed this, she was 85. roundabout. So yeah, I can respect that at least. And she's still. It's nice to see she's still very good in roles to this day, in spite of her age. But no matter what her age, I don't think her strength is a gruff police chief.
It's not
That's
really.
That's like that'd be like casting. That'd be like casting Colin Farrell as a fairy.
Zavarudo?
Yeah, okay. Here's the time freeze.
Or even better, casting The Rock as a fairy. Wait, they did that.
Except the way the time freeze works in the movie is different from how it works in the books, but for now, just assume that
Of
conveniently
course,
it
let's put
freezes
some
everything but
classic
her.
music.
Put that thing back where it
Oh
came
my,
from.
oh my god, this is what Internet Historian was referencing in the Costa Concordia video. Oh my god.
So
Okay. I would have, if I have been watching this movie on my own and I had endured in this point, this would have been the moment I had quit.
Really?
I'm sorry, this is just on the complex. This entire thing is just dumb. Okay, I like the idea of a neuralizer, which is the equivalent of the Obliviate spell. That is fine, but the whole thing is constructed weirdly. The ending is super stereotypical. When a troll shows up, nobody sees it. Getting the girl. And then when they notice him, there's literally no one with a firearm, which I'm sorry to tell you, in Sicily it's way more common than you think. Nobody tried to shoot at the ass of this guy.
So basically everyone just wakes up and they don't remember what was going on.
And then the time freeze has, of course, classic opera music in the background while our pixie hero does the whole Quicksilver thing.
Hey, it's that scene for me too, guys.
Jova,
Yes?
I have a question. Who exactly is supposed to be the protagonist of this movie? I've lost track.
Technically Artemis Fowl and Holly Short. Holly being... Well, okay. Holly is technically the heroic antagonist, while Artemis Fowl was the villainous protagonist.
I cannot even... I'm literally...
That-
I'm guessing
Mind
Holly
you,
Short is
mind you,
the elf.
Yes. She's the one we're following here. Also, I should probably go back to this point since I was talking about that bout of stupidity but had to break off when we went to the fairy world, essentially. Mind you, Butler, the guy who normally Artemis orders around, was the one who informs him more about the secrets of his father. See, originally, like I mentioned, his father was a cold, yes, he cared about his family, but he came off as very cold criminal. You know, he literally was fencing all the stuff you can imagine. Here, though, apparently his father was just stealing stuff to help keep it safe from Opal Cowboy. Okay, so that cloak figure is Opal Cowboy. Fans of the books will remember her as the villain of every even-numbered book. Yes, every even-numbered book in the series, of which there are 8. She debuts in the 2nd book. Here's the thing. For her to be cloaked is so goddamn out of character, even Darth Vader would blush so much you could see through his helmet here. Opal Cowboy is a megalomaniac who is literally one of the smartest creatures in the world, and here's the thing, she has good publicity. She has damn good publicity, to the point where she was more or less the Lex Luthor of the fairy town. Oh, basically, for layman's terms, the fairy town is essentially it was constructed at the center of the earth when humans eventually forced fairies underground.
they talked that in the explanation, to be fair.
But yeah, Opal Cowboy was literally someone with amazing big popularity, and she was very full of herself. Like, for her to hide her identity from somebody who she has caught makes no sense. Now, granted, maybe it's because of the differences here, but that just flies into the face of later stuff, because again, they're combining aspects from book 1 and 2, except book 2 was supposed to be her big debut. Essentially, she and Briar Cudgeon, the guy who she busted out of prison earlier in this movie, even though he wasn't originally in prison in the book, essentially she and Briar Cudgeon staged a coup so that they could rule not only the fairy world, but the entire world. Her motivations change in this one, and, well, it makes her much less of an interesting character, but we'll get to that later. Also, you gotta love how apparently Holly being knocked out makes it so that her tracker suddenly doesn't work. Like, they don't show Artemis and Butler deactivating the thing, it's just, oh, you knock her out and suddenly you can't sense her.
Of course.
Oh, by the way, Briar Cudgeon claims he is being sent to work by the executors, even though, honestly, here's the thing. Nobody apparently bats an eye at the fact that a dishonored major of the Force was suddenly brought back in. Like, it was public knowledge he was in jail. Nobody on the Force apparently bats an eye at the fact that, oh, he's back in command with his record cleaned and his rank back. Good God. And that, okay, you don't even need the book to figure out why that is goddamn stupid.
You know, guys, I think it's pretty much the same for all of us, but for especially Jova, I don't think Jova's particularly very fond of this movie, but it might just be me. What about you guys?
Oh,
I don't know. I think he loves
Then
it.
again, I'm not particularly enamored by this film myself.
hey guys, look. Here's Juliet with more food she's made. Not like we can show her
Is
amazing
that like
fighting
her only contribution? Only
me,
to
it's
show
just-
up at the very end and kicking like a goon's ass and say, see, I'm totally strong.
For me, it's just one of those things where the movie keeps moving at such a rapid pace that I cannot,
Yeah.
for the life of me, absorb anything.
Okay, so
Okay, for our record audience, in case also you're watching this from the playlist, we did recently Chronicles of Narnia Prince Caspian, and that kind of has the opposite problems in a sense that it moves way too slow. This instead is like Sonic level of fast.
Okay.
I don't know where to like look with this movie or what to think. Like I don't.
It's because here's why, Shiver. Like I said, the reason you don't know what to think is because there is nothing for you to think, because you cannot absorb anything. You cannot realize exactly who each person is, what the themes are, because the movie never stops
Oh,
for
wait,
one
wait,
goddamn
wait.
moment to flesh anything out.
okay, you gotta love this. So the MI6 guy who's interviewing Molt says, why would he do something that dangerous? Mind you, Dwibs, this is implying that the MI6 actually believe what this jackass is saying to them.
Oh, I thought that like the kind of twist was that the MI6 agent turned out to be one of the fair folk in disguise.
Nope. He's actually talking to the MI6. Again,
Straight up muggle. Got it.
like, but that's the thing. Apparently they believe him at this point now. What the hell? But anyway.
Dweebs, how much of your taxes actually go into founding the MI6?
A lot as part of our national defense budget.
Well,
Oh,
apparently
that
Your
makes
they...
sense.
money
to be
well
fair.
spent.
No, again, it's like I said, Shiva, maybe if this movie actually stopped for a goddamn minute to flesh something out, a character or a place, maybe you would know something about what to think. The
And
reason
that's-
you don't know what to think is because there's nothing to think about, because the movie wouldn't fucking allow you to think
Oh,
about anything.
I'd be
Yes, Trevor?
I'd be alright if they just established if they fleshed out just a single shot from the film.
Again, methinks that trying to combine books 1 and 2 was not a good idea for starters. But, okay, regardless. As for Juliet Butler, see, she did have more of a role. She was the bodyguard to Angeline Fowl, Artemis's mother. But since Artemis Fowl's mother is dead, and we pretty much removed a lot of her contributions to fights, sandwiches! Make them
Anyway,
sandwiches! God damn it.
So in terms of other movies the writers did, Hamish McCall did the following.
Oh, screw you. Artemis would not do that. That's the thing. Artemis does not... him saying on guard like that is so childish. And that's the thing. Artemis does not like to be considered or act like childish. In fact, he's
Oh, what was that slow-mo?
I don't know. Here's the thing. Artemis is almost never seen without a suit on, which is kind of about a sacrilege for this movie because it takes until over halfway to the point where he actually, puts on the goddamn suit. But yeah, Artemis is a guy who considers himself high of class. Oh, by the way, the weather is apparently distorting the time freeze, even though it didn't do that before in the own movie.
Anyway, as I was saying, in terms of other movies the writers did, Hamish McCall did the following. He did Mr. Bean's Holiday, Johnny English Reborn, the 2014 Paddington film, and the film before this, Dad's Army.
I mean,
As
most
for-
of those movies are not really bad, so what happened?
As for Conor McPherson, his writing credits include I Went Down, The Actors, The Eclipse, Quirk, and Paula.
Okay.
Never heard of those.
So I'm trying again, this is Last Airbender all over again in 2010. I'm trying my best to gather a basic summation of what is happening. These green people want to get Artemis because
He kidnapped one of their
Father
own.
is being accused
Mhm.
of
Again, the premise: Artemis Fowl is
Oh,
being
wait,
kidnapped.
wait,
The
hold on,
villain-
missed
Oh
it.
my god! This
What's
is-
this?
Oh.
Who are you talking to?
Would it interest you to know that Branagh and the writers of this film all are Irish?
But no, again, Artemis Fowl is being kidnapped. The villain wants the MacGuffin. Artemis has to find it. Coincidentally, the Pixie agent, has discovered the existence of this in Artemis Mansion. Went to investigate, got shot down, and now the police force is, going there to rescue her.
Yeah, basically, Holly wants to clear her family name or get back the Oculus so she can redeem it. I'm just gonna let you guys know the Oculus was never a thing. At least
Okay.
not. At least not in books 1 and 2. So here's the thing: they're alluding to fairy stones. Problem: fairy stones were only established by book 8. You know, the very last book in the series.
Oh,
Also, Artemis is fighting up front. Artemis, the guy who could not fight worth 2 cents, is now battling out in the field.
okay. Even the fight scenes are, despite even the slow mos, are like super sped up for some reason.
And they
Yeah,
broke
that's a
the
problem.
time freeze.
Also, Jova, since this is something that I know from the cover, seems one of the things that they actually got right is Artemis' suit and goggles appearance from the actual illustrations, right?
I get the feeling
Yeah. To be fair, they actually did get a good look for Artemis. And you know what? Faraday Shaw looks like you would expect Artemis to look like when he's finally in the suit.
I get the feeling that even the filmmakers just want this film over and done with. I mean, it's not a long film at all. It's only 95 minutes.
Jesus.
By the way, Tia, to answer your question, considering Jova's spiel before we started this, I think a lot happened, like in the lead up to this movie.
Like, technically, this
We'll just
movie...
throw out the suitcase. I'm not even going to look at it, let alone unpack it.
Okay. You know what, though? This movie could definitely be primetime material on Matt McMuscles' What Happened series. Because, again, this
Did he
thing...
do films? Oh no, he did Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, yeah, he does films as well. Like, this thing was announced in 2001. Came out in 2020.
With this jumbled mess of a script.
So basically, Opal Cowboy's plan now is to rise with an army that she claims to have and wipe out mankind so she can restore fairies to their rightful place. No, goddammit, no, this is not Opal Cowboy.
Also, polar opposite of Muggle power.
Opal Cowboy was freaking selfish as all heck. She was so narcissistic. God damn it. What she wanted was the ability to rule and have herself be the sole prime ruler here and there. Okay, this doesn't make any sense.
Rude.
Okay. This doesn't make any sense because Root implied that she knew that the Fowls were behind this. So, and she says, "I want to get to that kid."
Also,
Like, didn't-
yes, I can genuinely believe Judi Dench is more than 800 years old. How could you tell?
Judy, she's trying with that grunt voice, but damn, it sounds like she has to strain it more than Batman.
Not just that,
had
Java,
to do
it's
with
almost
Christian
it's almost
Bale.
sounds maybe put a filter like in BBS.
Is this secretly Judi Dench auditioning for an older Batwoman?
That's also another thing, between the weird slow-mo, the particular special effects, and this filter, I'm really sure that Zack Snyder didn't ghost operated this movie.
Okay, so here's the thing about the time freeze. Essentially, the time freeze is, well, think about it like a time extension. Anything inside moves. Well, okay, it essentially moves at sort of a higher pace than what stuff does outside. So think about it like this. Like, say you had a homework paper due in 3 hours. Well, a time freeze could extend it to the point where until the time freeze is let down, you're essentially still paused at that amount of time in the outside world, essentially. Which raises a thing people have mentioned. So, Artemis, you were on a 3-day limit to find the Oculus. So you kidnapped a fairy to get the help of the fair folk. Except, you know, if your father supposedly stole the Oculus, did you ever think to maybe, you know, check your house? Especially now since you have a goddamn time freeze that can give you all the time you need?
Also, Mr. Digums, how do you actually know this? As in the parts where you were not there?
Yeah, I mean, did he get this off hearsay? Off other
Okay, to be fair, there's actually a reason you can infer from that. Unfortunately, it's another thing that spits in the face of the book. But we'll get to that. Anyway, that is not how it goes in the books, but whatever. So, here's the thing. Mulch, because he's on the very, very, very bad side of the police force, or Leprechaun, was a dwarf sent to Howard's Peak. Howard's Peak is a prison mainly meant for goblins. Goblins and dwarves do not get along in the Artemis Fowl lore, let us just say. Also, goblins have fire abilities. Here's the problem. The way goblins look like in this, that is not how they look like in the books, or even the graphic novel. Goblins in the Artemis Fowl lore are much more reptilian. Kind of like, you know...
More kobolds, I get it.
Yeah, like, I mean, they're reptilian to the point where they have to lick their own eyeballs to keep them hydrated. And they generate fire and all that. Here, these are just generic goblin looks.
Yeah,
like
generic goblins.
They look like goblins that came out of Harry Potter, for Christ's sake! Again, and that's the thing. They essentially turned Artemis into Harry Potter. He's not some evil dick who wants to get money to return his family crime name to its former honor. He's just a scared boy looking for his daddy who's escaped. And that's a big problem. They made him essentially Harry Potter. He's even more heroic, too.
I think Brian got confused and thought it was in Harry Potter again.
Or maybe Gilderoy Lockhart is just once again misrepresenting a story.
Which one? Pre or post Obliviate?
God, that's a tough one, actually.
Also, the quick cuts.
You know what? Let's say pre-Obliviate, because the changes here feel all the more dickish.
Okay, here's the thing about this movie for me so far.
Yeah.
It's bad, yes, but to be honest, it's one of those bad films where I wouldn't be able to tell you what happened in it in a week.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, honestly. I would argue that
I'm a non-book fan. I guess that's what non-book fans felt about this film in general.
What?
Yeah, that's the thing.
What has happened?
He made him combust by holding his fire in his mouth.
Oh.
Of course.
Anyway, you were saying, Jova?
Here's the thing about this, honestly. Despite the fact that this movie spits in the faces of the 2 books that it is adapting, I would argue you need to read those books to understand the plot of this movie, because, Jesus Christ, this movie does a lot of leaps. Like, let's be honest, if I hadn't told you guys a lot of the details of the books, I would honestly think you'd be more lost than you already are with this movie, because they've already gone over
I am technically not really. I can see what the basic kind of plot is, but I have to agree that it's moving way too fast for its own good, and there's a lot of information that probably we missed, and I would have guessed that was in the book.
That's a thing, honestly. I'd argue this movie overcomplicates things by trying to combine the 2 stories here and there. Why couldn't this have been the first simple book here? Oh, by the way...
hypnotize him into letting you out.
You would think she would do that,
I mean, he tried to do that earlier, but he had the sunglasses on. But now he's taking them off. Hypnotize him.
Or is this operating on a fact that since the cage is built with iron, it's
her
weakness or something?
Nope. She could actually literally just hypnotize him right now. The script just chooses to have her not.
Okay, it's pretty much clear at this point. At this point, at least, they just didn't care.
Like, okay, here's the thing. Here is the absolute thing. Artemis and Holly were not friends by the beginning or the end of the first book. They were enemies. She was essentially the John McClane to his Hans Gruber. It's just that he managed to win. That being said, in exchange for Holly curing his mother of some sickness that was driving her insane, he gave Holly back half of the gold ransom that he had forced the fairies to give to him, showing that he did have redeeming qualities. That's the thing. He was the villain, but that didn't mean he was just cold and heartless. And he did understand Holly's plights and everything. Let me put it like this. At best, they were acquaintances by the end of book 2. They didn't really truly become friends, I'd say, until maybe the end of book 3, definitely by the end of book 4, halfway into the series. This movie will have you believe that these guys are now ever so wonderful and true friends by the end, despite the fact that he kidnapped her and is holding her hostage to get the help of the fair folk. And trust me, when you actually hear Artemis's actual plan, you will think, damn, this would have just been easier if he had just said, hey, Leprechaun.
Oh my god.
Is the movie making fun of itself now?
Also, you don't insult Judi Dench. Like,
Oh.
Okay.
Wait, listen to this. What he wants. He wants to be small like other dwarves.
as the CGI animators.
This was not a thing in the movie. He was a regular
Obviously.
sized dwarf, shorter than Artemis. Why did they make him big? Did they just really want to have a Hagrid look-alike?
Seems like it,
Was
yeah.
there a Hagrid-esque character in the book?
No. The book wasn't trying to be Harry Potter.
When did the book series start?
2000 and...
Something.
let me check.
Again, it really is a catch-all. Like, sometimes it feels like the protagonist is not Hagrid here. Other times it feels like the protagonist is the elf. Other times it's Artemis himself. Like, seriously, I don't know who I'm supposed to even focus on and why.
Okay, the first book was released in 2001. Huh, so yeah, literally the same year that the first book was released, they already had a movie in the makings. That's the thing, this book series was a big hit by the first book, and it is one that earned its praise.
This feels like...
Oh, I think it's now, right, Jova?
Oh, God. Okay,
What?
Oh,
prepare
no.
yourself.
Oh, this part. Okay.
Oh,
Again,
Oh,
right.
no.
This is some DeviantArt shit. Oh, okay, Jova. Dare I ask if it's like in the book?
actually, yeah. Well, okay. The CGI mouth, no, but the whole...
They shit the earth they dig.
Yes, that is actually a thing in the book. And you know what? It was it was actually funny.
You took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, buddy.
Yeah, here's the problem. That's on the second floor of the mansion. He was digging through the ground. How did he show up in a painting on the sixth? I just...
Continuity? What the fuck is that shit?
No, it's even worse than that, Pedro. Space is warped and time is
I
bendable.
don't-
In this
I
case,
don't-
literally.
This movie! I swear to God, this movie is one of the most goddamn stupid things I've ever seen before.
Okay. I already knew Last Airbender was a poor adaptation before going in, even more so than I did for this. This might actually be an Avatar moment because I really, based on what Jova's reactions are, I want to see the series itself.
Oh,
So
trust me.
the film, the first book released in April of 2001.
Yes. Well, yeah, I mentioned that, Dwibs. So here's the
Actually-
thing.
I was bird.
Oh. So here's the thing, essentially. Artemis was planning on them sending a dwarf in. This is not how it was in the book. Mulch was actually sort of a wrench in the works of Artemis's plan. Now, Artemis's plan still managed to succeed due to the rules and whatnot of how the fair folk can work, but no, that's the thing. Here, remember, instead of him trying to get gold, he only kidnapped Holly just so that, he could get the fair folk to help him find the Oculus. Which Mulch is unintentionally helping him do.
All right, audience,
Oh, wait.
if you're-
Okay, guys. Now, do you believe that these two can trust each other?
Oh, not more than that, Jova. I can tell the movie is trying its way hard to ship the two.
And here's the part where Holly knocks Artemis out and then obviously locks him in.
Anyway, as I was saying, if you ever rewatch this commentary, audience, here's a drinking game. Take a shot every time Jova says, whether exactly or in any other form, this is
That
Oh,
that is not how the dwarf hairs work in the book, okay? In
like
the
that
book
time.
in the book it turns out that basically dwarf spit can help solidify a hair so it can be used as a key. In fact, that's the thing. Dwarves technically normally don't have their magic because they constantly break the rules. So, yeah, one thing I haven't mentioned, the fairy code is essentially this. You
Oh, there
break
it
the
is.
rules. Yeah, now
Oh.
you can trust me.
Well,
Because-
Jova, you said knock him, and you said
Well-
knock him out, and you got bit of that wish.
Well, okay, I said when she knocks him out and then locks him up in the own cage that he put her in, but whatever, but yeah. That's
so what
There.
is that? The
Yep.
Alculosa?
Yep, that's the Oculus. The original
Also,
It looks like a Fabergé egg.
I'll be honest. I've heard much better Patrick Doyle scores. If I'm honest, I mean it's not a bad score or anything, but I've heard better from the guy.
Look
So
at
what kind of type of device is the Alculosa?
it can do whatever the plot needs it to.
Oh, the Cosmic Cube. All right.
Okay then.
But humans can't use it.
Because we are dumb.
Yeah, contact lens produces.
They use
vision.
the. Oh, it's not a twist. We knew he was using.
Okay, who's the hooded Dementor wannabe?
I don't know
Opal
who you are,
Cowboy.
but,
Oh god, you were gone when I was ranting about that, weren't you? Okay, essentially that's Opal Cowboy. All you need to know, Dwibs, is that this completely goes against her character to go masked.
Goes
And
against the book.
Here's the
I
thing,
get
yes,
it. I get
yes.
it by now.
And now she's the one in charge of Briar Cudgeon, except, no, in Book 2, Briar Cudgeon was technically the one running the operation.
Okay, Joe, I will agree with what you said at the beginning of this commentary. But however, I will say that you're basically having the exact same reaction as I was having when I first watched Anne with an E, even though this is still worse.
I mean,
So,
really?
there you go,
This
there you go.
angry?
Now,
And with an E
well-
made you this angry? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can imagine it picking you up, but as angry as I've been right now, that's
We're the
like...
executors.
well, Jova, unlike you, I've actually grown up with the source material, just like you grew up with this source material.
Okay, Dwibs.
Also, how are they walking behind him? Like the walking cycle that we were doing is stupid.
You mean
Yeah,
this movie?
basically he's relieving Commander Root of command because supposedly the executors commanded it, even though we're never shown these executors, and as far as anyone knows, he could...
Who the hell are these executors?
Look, sorry. I'll wait till this is done.
Okay, now, in a similar occasion to the book, yeah, one of the few times they got something right from the book, Briar Cudgeon essentially is going to send in a troll to kill everyone in there.
Smash.
Granted, in the book, it was because they were pretty much, as far as they were concerned, down to their last option, and Briar Cudgeon was making a big push for power to get a huge promotion from saving the day, when everyone, including Root, pretty much knew that he couldn't give two hoots about whether or not Holly got hurt along with it.
Also, I guess Mulch is on Artemis Steve now.
Yep, Mulch pretty much works for Artemis now, which completely goes against Mulch's character.
I
and-
don't. Wait. Why does he? What? Ugh.
Mulch working for Artemis, and that is technically how he can.
Okay.
Okay, this
This
is
is-
literally nothing but just a soup of plot points added at random. Like,
Now, this is pretty much clear that one of the reasons. Okay, take aside the problem.
Okay. One funny bit. Turns out Mulch pickpocketed her gun from Butler's suit. That's actually
Yeah.
funny.
Again, take aside from a second the adaptation, the fact that they adapted 2 books in one movie. This is pretty much clear that it needed at the very least an extra half an hour. At the very least.
Yeah.
So
but-
basically, they're going to turn off all magic usage in the house, which means Holly won't be able to use her healing magic. Sure, that won't come into play later.
Well,
There-
yeah, no, sorry.
And now we're going to slingshot the troll in there, which is not how it went in the book, so I have no idea why they're doing it this way here.
Okay, Jova, so at this point, I might as well just assume nothing is like the book at this point.
Whoop! Well, again, there are some things.
what?
Oh!
Okay, at this point,
I
this movie...
don't even.
Okay, that was a joke straight out of The Hobbit, the first movie, I mean.
And mind you,
With
that
the-
is
the-
think,
that's exactly like the dwarf body humor you would see in the first Hobbit film.
this is not how it went
Because
in
at
the
this
book.
point in the movie, because at this point in the movie, that Branagh just went ah,
But yeah,
and just completely lost his head.
But yeah, look, Jova, I can put it up very, very quickly. See, I don't even need to mention my experience. Duez was only introduced to Anne of Green Gables a month ago, and he was angry at the ending of the first episode. He, not even me, him.
Oh,
So-
okay. Let me say this. I don't mind you getting mad. What I find is, like, as mad as I am at this, though, like, that's...
Well, okay, let's just say it's a bit more complicated than what I would have to explain right now, so let's just focus on this.
Although, to be fair, like you said, even with that, you don't consider it a worse adaptation than this. Like,
No, well, Anne of Venice at the very least coherent.
so, okay, here's a big problem with how this movie pretty much did Butler dirty. You remember how Mulch Diggins mentioned how Butler is pretty much a badass here? We never see Butler do any of the fights on his own, and that's the thing. For a guy who's supposed to be bodyguarding Artemis, he sure lets Artemis get into the heart of a lot of danger. You know, one of the worst things a
Whoa.
bodyguard can do.
The sad part is that I can see those effects working fine if this was a wacky family comedy romp, but
Also-
if the movie didn't take itself seriously,
Also-
that would just be quirky. But it's
Also,
not.
To
Holly-
be fair, Jova, there was that scene before where he used the magic bow and arrow to disrupt the time freeze device.
But here's the thing, Tio. He had freaking Artemis, backing him up in the fight. In the book, Butler took on the Leprechaun single-handedly. He beat them into submission, not to kill, but to scare them, to later get to negotiating on the table. And you want to know another thing? The troll scene? Butler 1v1'd the troll. Oh, sure, yeah. Initially, the troll wrecked him, and Holly had to heal him. But Butler, after getting healed, donned a suit of armor, hit that troll multiple times with a flail, and then shot him with his iconic Sig Sauer, essentially putting that troll into traction. The only reason he didn't kill was because Holly, who had healed him at that time, called him out and forced him to basically spare the troll. Obviously toss it out, but spare it still. Yet in this one,
Also-
he barely has any agency in the fight against the troll. This is supposed to be Butler's big moment, but instead... Well, I'll just let you see what happens.
Also, I get that Darvit is like a catchphrase that they use to express, this concern.
Yes,
Like say,
yes,
damn
yes.
it.
Oh, yeah. Darvit is the iconic swear in the book.
Okay.
Barely shows up in the movie.
Hooray.
Like, Artemis! Freaking Artemis has more to do with the fight than the troll, and that's the thing. Artemis was not the
Okay.
fighter!
I have to agree with Pedro. Artemis barely does feel like a protagonist in his own movie. Sure, there is quite the focus on him, but at least it really does feel as if the movie has to actually set up all these other elements so they don't actually have much time to focus on Artemis. Again, that extra half an hour probably would have helped on these two.
Teo, your the
Oh!
way you phrase that would imply that they focus. This movie doesn't focus on anything. The moment anything might possibly start getting slightly developed or fleshed out, it cinches to another thing.
And Butler just got
Nothing.
crushed by a troll who literally showed his ass up forwards. Am I supposed to take
Hooray.
this seriously, movie?
This movie has no focus. Like,
Can't believe
seriously.
we're almost done already.
Again. May I remind you, maybe merging books 1 and 2 together was a bad idea. Like, that's the thing. A lot of characters. Well, okay, to be fair, Opal's the only character who is showing up early, but all the same, because they made Opal the main bad guy of this movie way too early, they have to establish this stuff between her and Briar Cudgeon, and they also have to do this new stuff with Holly's new backstory, which just complicates things more, but conveniently all ties together for the Oculus.
Okay, Jova. I've come
Wait,
to this
hold on,
conclusion that I
guys. Butler's apparently dying.
Sure is.
Oh yeah, of course. Sure.
And that's also another thing. Despite the dead initial talking, through cell phone, Artemis hasn't met even the villain yet. We spent most of the movie just stalling against the fucking police.
Again, all to supposedly help him get the thing that will help him save his father. Dying.
Sure, I'll just wait you to show up in the climax.
Ah, nice. He's quoting
Let me guess,
the Irish blessing.
Let me guess, Artemis is the guy who wouldn't care if someone died.
No, okay. Artemis would care about Butler. That's the thing. He was a criminal and calculating mastermind, but unlike Hans Gruber, he did care for those close to him. And Butler was one of his closest and dearest friends. He just did
I
not
get the
want to
idea in
admit
terms
it
of
often.
characterization, Blips is more closer to Sly Cooper in that kind of sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if Sly Cooper were more of, a villain, but yeah, pretty much.
Okay, Jova. Carry on.
I love how pretty much even pretty much the police corps are pretty much calling out Briar Cudgeon for the fact that, well, yeah, just because Holly is the daughter of the traitor doesn't mean she herself is a traitor, so yeah, now her magic's back. Which means she can heal him. Don't you just love when a story plot point that's so contrived gets called out for being contrived so that now we can fix this and that and fix that and fix that?
It's just like with C-3PO losing his memories.
So basically, they realized their mistake and fixed it within the script instead of just deleting it altogether. Brilliant.
Oh, how?
How touching.
Not supposed to show tears.
Say, wasn't there a MacGuffin we were supposed to have that the dwarf just ate?
Wait.
Okay, I get the feeling.
Hold on,
I get the
Felix.
feeling Nonzo was crying because he's like, oh god, I found a worse film than Bound.
Oh yeah, that's a problem also. The time freeze is corrupted. So, here's where I ask. Artemis, why did you have Butler destroy the time freeze? Like, he knew that this was coming and all that. And honestly, that's the thing. The time freeze was beneficial to his quest to get the Oculus before time ran out. But no, he had it corrupted, I guess, to try and coerce the Lep to help him, even though, again, it only hurt stuff more?
Is the movie gonna end with the Foul Mansion completely destroyed at this point?
No, actually, it'll be just fine.
The troll already has done quite the damage anyway, so...
You could say fixing it will be super
Alright,
easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah,
Really?
of course.
Yeah. In fact, we're about to solve the plot relatively soon.
Yeah, seriously, we're like 20 minutes near the end, and the main villain hasn't showed up to fight the heroes yet.
Oh yeah, and by the way,
Yeah.
Holly and Moltz just got sucked into the time freeze, so yeah, that's
With
okay.
these very...
But
very
it's okay,
questionable
Holly
effects.
just got spat right back out. Convenient.
Jova, I'm gonna make the decision for you right now. I will argue this is worse than Last Airbender. Why? I will argue Last Airbender was more coherent than this. Why? Because in Last Airbender, at the very least, they had the granny explain the basic concept, and we knew we knew the basic premise. This kid is the chosen one. He has to go around to do shit so he can stop the bad guys. Basic, but at the very least, I could grasp the basics of what was the.
Oh no, guys! Will
Holly
Holly leave or will she go back for Artemis, the boy who she now trusts? I think.
I still have no idea what the hell is even.
Boom!
Time quake.
Time catch up.
So how much time actually now is passed?
3 days.
Oh, so time's up already. That explains a lot.
Oh well, movie over. Bye. No.
Well,
Oh,
hold on.
Well, that's it. Unfortunately, Colin Farrell's character.
Well,
is dead.
okay, so here's the thing. They have the Oculus, but obviously giving it to Opal is, well, a bad idea.
Bad idea, yeah.
So go ahead and use it. Oh wait, no, it's too
He's
dangerous.
almost over.
Hey, Holly
Yeah,
came
hurry up, the
back.
time's nearly over.
Oh, why start caring now?
Also, did Butler, in order to get back
Wait.
the Oculus, just shove his hand up Mulch's ass?
Maybe. Oh god, here we go. Even though your father never said that in the movie beforehand, are we friends?
I guess.
Don't you? Here we go. Fuck you!
Okay, I'm gonna beat Reeves for this movie. I get the slight suspicion Jova doesn't like this movie.
But no, seriously though, they're forever friends at the end of the first story. They were not friends by the end of the first book. Holly hated Artemis's guts for kidnapping her. Now, well, it's okay. We both have dead parents, and we both have fathers who were thought to be criminals, but I suppose really aren't, so let's be friends.
I mean, I guess that it's better than them being friends just because their mom had the same first name.
Honestly...
Also, Corin Farrell probably had his easiest paycheck in his life. He has to speak in 1 or 2 scenes, and then he has to stand for most of the movie doing the YMCA
He
pose.
doesn't even have to change his accent.
You know, writers, directors, whoever is responsible for this, people don't tend to bond over the fact that both their parents are dead. They tend to bond with therapists over that.
Also, Shuri, of course you would become forever friends with someone who kidnapped you and pretty much humiliated you and tried to use you as leverage.
Oh, absolutely. The internet loves toxic relationships
is terrible.
The movie's slowing down. It's suffering slow down.
And now, one of the
That's
many things the Oculus can do, apparently.
The fast pacing of the movie is pushing the hardware too much, and as a result, the movie is having frame rate issues.
Also,
That's
this
what
movie is
happened.
not as soon to being over as I initially thought.
Let me guess, it can reverse time?
You'll see.
Whoop.
I don't want time travel in this.
There is time travel in the 6th book. And
I
sort
mean,
of
I'm
the
sure
5th
it's
one.
fine in the book, but this movie, yuck.
Oh no, did it work? Did you bring him back? I don't
What do
know.
you think?
That's something she doesn't know. It might not have worked, Dwibs.
Oh my god, it's...
Oh no, he's not.
The mansion is still destroyed anyway.
Oh no, I got it. She brought him back, but because she didn't do it properly, she brought back his corpse.
Monkey's paw?
I guess so.
Maybe.
Okay, I appreciate the one-shot tracking with the camera, but the moment is less dramatic than it needs to be, I argue.
Not everything can be solved.
What did you do, though? Okay.
He came back as pixie dust.
Even Colin Farrell's like, what the hell's going on here now?
That's the thing. They never explain what the Oculus can do. And again, the Oculus wasn't even a thing in the first 2 books, so I can't even really tell you that. Get best. Oh wait, this bit.
Curses! Artemis fall! Don't tell me that's how the movie ends. Oh, thank God.
Can you
Oh, so that was just his reaction to being done filming.
Actually, I think that's a
her?
woman.
Yeah, that's a
Oh.
she.
Huh.
Okay. I know I said this before, but it's killing me right now. Here, let me put up an image. Basic. Never mind. Go ahead first, Joe, because I need to get.
So, guys, you know how Beechwood Short pretty much betrayed his own kind to, keep the Aculus safe by giving it to Artemis Fowl Sr., something that required a lot of sacrifice?
Now the daughter will give it to the son of Artemis Fowl Sr. That's
Nope.
parallels.
No, even worse. They're gonna take it back to Leprechaun. Even though Opal was still a thing out there, and this kind of undoes the sacrifice that Beechwood Short did in this movie.
Wait. Hold on. I know that it's still 15 minutes missing and everything, but you're telling me that Artemis doesn't actually meet Opal face to face in this movie?
Nope.
Also, are you telling us a large portion of
So
this movie was
basically,
avoided?
This really
Nova?
is like Last Airbender.
No, that's the thing too. At least in the last Airbender, Aang actually met the fucking Fire Nation at some point, and the Emperor
Aang
actually
doesn't
showed
mean-
up on screen.
However, Aang doesn't meet the Fire Lord.
Well,
yeah,
to be
but
fair,
at least the Fire Lord showed up on screen. At
Well,
the very least.
it's the same with Opal here. I mean, the fact that the main villain and the main good protagonist don't actually even meet face to face. The closest we have is basically a phone call between the two.
Was this a movie we should have brought alcohol to?
Possibly.
Okay, I'm getting these kind of angry only near the end, so I don't really think so.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
and you know what? I don't really drink anyway. So yeah, now the Aculus is back in the Leprechaun, the place that was deemed not safe enough to keep it from Opal in the first place. So again, Beechwood's sacrifice, I guess, was all for nothing. But it's okay because now the short name is redeemed. Because
Again, a waste of time.
Which also
Anyway.
probably means that the movie ends on a huge sequel bait.
Okay. I know. I've said this before, but this is starting to kill me. So I have to ask. Okay. For those who don't know in the audience, search for Google Lucas Jade Zuman. Jova, is it just me, or does Artemis look exactly like a younger version of the actor playing Gilbert in Hand of Any?
Huh.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
seriously,
God,
it's
he does.
Seriously, I've been trying my best not to say this, but it's just killing me at this point. I have
Wow.
to
Oh my God. He
He really does.
seriously, what the fuck? I just
Anyway, so
I did not
basically.
expect to go into this finding any of an E parallels.
So basically, for disobeying orders and everything, Holly now has a promotion. She basically, as you may recall, Artemis Fowl Sr. gave them a list of all these contacts attached to Opal Cowboy. Oh yeah, that's a thing. Unlike in Book 2 where, Opal Cowboy had good publicity, so Leprechaun weren't suspecting her to the point where they were using a lot of her technology, which helped the coup out later. They know she's a bad guy. So, what would have even been the torment for the second movie, assuming they were even going to try and, adapt it off of the second book? Because, well, again, this movie combined aspects of book 1 and 2. Oh, wait, hold on, this bit. So she walks in, and now everybody applaud her because now... So, okay, that's the thing now. Her character arc is finished. Again, remember, in the books, it was her being the first and only female officer. But in the movie, it was because she
did a really good job.
Well, again,
You get a star.
I could watching Zootopia right now, but I guess not.
Again, but instead of it being because she's the first and only female officer in the movie, it's because she was the daughter of the traitor Beechwood Short, and now that's pretty much rectified. So, what were they even planning to be Holly Short's character?
There is a question that I haven't asked yet, Jova, unless you mentioned it at the beginning with the synopsis. Do we know how much of a budget of this was?
Let me check. 125 million.
So Disney was expecting at least a 300 million recoup if
Oh.
this actually hit theaters.
Okay. Let me put it like this. Disney were definitely expecting this. Oh, by the way, this is how we got to this point here and there with the reporters. But
Right, the MI6 captured the Mulch. I even forgot that was the premise.
You'd be forgiven for forgetting this because so much stuff has happened. But anyway, Disney were expecting this to be a big hit before the backlash to the trailers came about.
Which is why they probably why they quietly took advantage of the pandemic and relegated to Disney Plus only, even without the premiere access, but now are doing for most of their new releases.
Could you imagine them trying to premiere access this film?
I get the idea that they lost completely faith. They say, no, not even putting the premiere, and having potentially trying to capitalize on the Chinese market will help us with this.
Wait, guys, one last confrontation.
Face reveal?
No. I don't even get why her face is hidden. It wasn't. Oh my god.
I feel sorry for Opal's actress.
You want to know something, guys? This is literally the opposite of the Inspector Gadget movie. They made a woman who always has her face on display have her face be hidden. Oh wait, this bit.
Fine. Let me.
It's time for one line. It's time for one final middle finger to the audience. I am Artemis Fowl. You are not a criminal mastermind. The worst thing you did was kidnap somebody, and that was for good intentions. God damn you!
You're as much a criminal mastermind as I am a juggler.
Hey, Teo. I'm more complex than you think.
No, you're not. You're just pretentious.
That's the thing, Jova. That's the thing, Jova. That.
Oh, hey, Juliet, you were pointless.
That's the thing, Jova. That line of Artemis, that's exactly the equivalent of Squall's "I'm more complex than you think." It's literally the exact same problem.
Oh wait, but let's see what the MI6 have to say about this.
They're in this movie.
Oh, that's right. You were telling the story, weren't you?
Hey, MI6, you let him give you this farcical story, so you don't really get to talk.
Nice line read there.
But you may be wondering, why did Molt spill all these secrets that go against every single rule in the fairy book? It was apparently so that, by telling them the truth, they would realize that they do not need to look into the fowls and they can just leave the fowls alone. That is why he's telling the MI6 this. Yeah! Telling them that there's a whole civilization living in the center of the earth who have all this god-awful scary technology. That'll get the MI6 to back off. Oh, by the way, there's this guy over in America who wants to turn everyone into fish to deal with global warming. You might want to look into him.
And now we're treating the Fowl family like we're fucking John Constantine, protecting the common people from the fair folk. What the fuck is this?
You turned Artemis Fowl from an interesting and iconic, unique villain protagonist into a generic hero. Also, yeah, showing off the pointy ears to show that it's for real, yo.
Oh no, don't stretch them out, please.
Sorry, Teo.
Oh, for fuck's sake. We really need to end on this note.
Would you be surprised if this get anyone nightmares?
No, not really.
Also, Taylor, here, fine, I'll reform. At least the Fire Lord showed his fucking face.
Clap your hands if you believe. Hey, Peter Pan reference. And apparently, Dwibs, it's very easy to escape from an MI6 holding cell. Your tax dollars at work.
M really fell out of touch with his bureau.
But that's the thing, though. Judi Dench and Judi Dench's in the Bond films didn't actually, you know what, in Skyfall, she reincarnated into a police officer, but her replacement was shit at his job.
So what you're saying is that she became a fairy. She became a fairy police commissioner, according to this movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, and they're all working with Artemis because they have a common goal. This is not how it worked in the book. Like, okay.
It's even an adaptation at this point.
Yeah,
like I said, just like World War Z, this has been the so much that the author probably was like, well, fuck it.
They should just say inspired by the Artemis Fowl series or something.
And that's the problem. I was not actually Pedro Michael Bay. This is Planet Magic Hour now.
Well, to be fair, it was also Magic Hour at the end of the first Jurassic Park.
True.
So.
But I was gonna mention it for the final thoughts, but no, seriously. Even remove the adaptation thing. Even as a movie on its own, it's still a fucking mess. Okay, Job, a question: is there a post-credit scene?
Let me
checking
check.
right
and
now.
make
Will
sure.
Artemis Fowl be invited to the Avengers Initiative?
No, he'll be invited to Kingdom Hearts.
There's a.
Oh god, I can't
there's a
even
screenshot.
imagine what a
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts world based on this
Yes,
might
there
be.
apparently is something of a stinger.
I'll just wait and then.
Take
Alright.
TKBC. Okay. and
Anyway,
nothing. No, there is nothing.
Final thoughts in the
Can I
meantime.
go
Who wants to
first?
start?
Yeah, Dwiz, as somebody who's not familiar with the books, why don't you?
Okay, I'm not going to comment on the quality of the books. I haven't read them. I'm just going to talk strictly about the film itself.
Exactly.
Okay, it's not a very good film to say the least. The pacing is all over the shop. The plot is nonsensical, but half the time because it barely explains most things and doesn't explain the rest of them. We've got horribly miscast actors, even though they are very good at their jobs normally, especially Judi Dench.
Oh, yeah. I was actually going to ask, who do you think was the most miscast out of all of them?
I mean, sadly, Judi Dench.
I take it
I
you
mean,
didn't.
she's a fine actress, but I mean, I'm sorry. Even young or old, I don't think I could buy Judi Dench as a gruff police chief.
So, would you say this is better or worse than Her Rolling Cats?
I haven't seen Cats.
In Cats, she's much more awkward. I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't be awkward being?
I don't mean just appearance, Dweebs.
like that.
There's a lot of bizarre dialogue because it's a straight up adaptation of a musical, and a lot of awkward movement that the characters do, regardless of the special effects.
Alright, the music isn't really all that memorable. It's a shame considering it's from Patrick Doyle.
Very Irish team for this movie, which, makes sense. It was a book written by an Irish author, and it does take place in Ireland.
So basically, it's just a shame seeing Irish people fuck it up.
Yeah, damn, that's...
It
I mean-
really begs the question: who did drop the ball in this?
I mean, it'd be like if you had a movie set in London, filmed with all Londoners, and
it's actually filmed in Wales. Oh wait.
No, even worse. They mess up their own culture. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, there's not much I can say. There was else I can say about this movie. It's really bad, but I won't go. But me personally, I won't go so far as to say it's worse than The Last Airbender, on account that with this movie, I feel at least horribly misguided efforts. Whereas in Last Airbender, no one tried at all. Not even Shyamalan. Plus, at least in this movie, people tried to give a shit. Whereas the actors in Last Airbender were the most stoic people you'll ever see in your life. And yeah, that's it. It's a great tribute. It's a great 10-year anniversary tribute to The Last Airbender, although it doesn't do it quite as accurately. That's it. I'm done.
Who wants to go next?
I will, since I have next to nothing to say.
That's surprising, given how angry you got during this commentary.
Not really angry, more so baffled, because that's the thing. I don't know what to be angry about, because I have no attachment to the source material. Everything else was just confusing. Again, I don't know what to focus on, I don't know what's going on, and as a result, I don't care about what happens to the characters. Yeah, I definitely get the Last Airbender comparisons. Yep, don't think those are an over-exaggeration, genuinely. And yeah, I think that's it. This wow. Thanks, I hate it. Kinda. All right, who's next?
Pedro.
Okay. Okay. You guys are going to have to try and convince me that what I just saw actually happened.
Yes, it happened. I mean, we were all there. Don't you see? Fairies really exist.
Oh my fucking.
Oh,
Lord.
all right.
Okay,
Sorry, go on.
So, Pedro, better or worse than Last Airbender?
No, I've already said this is worse to me because don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't understand this argument. It's more so the fact that, like, just in terms of story, this is way less coherent. At least with Last Airbender, I had a basic sense of what was going on.
Would you agree it's even worse than Dragon Ball Evolution?
That's
Like,
tough.
think about it. Think about it.
Hold on,
And let him
I'm
think
thinking,
about it, let
I'm
him
thinking.
think.
I'm thinking. Don't rush me. I'm thinking. Give me like a couple seconds.
All right.
Okay.
Couple seconds.
Okay. I think I got it. Okay. I will still say that this edges out a little bit over Dragon Ball Evolution because it has, like Blib said, slightly better acting. It has a better, whereas the acting in Dragon Ball Evolution,
I'd argue it's worse than Dragon Ball Evolution because at least Dragon Ball Evolution remembered to have the characters on the right side of morality. Again, like I said, this would be like if they made
True.
Goku the villain
guess-
of Dragon Ball.
I guess Dragon Ball Evolution is more coherent, but
Like,
just pick your fucking poison, I guess.
yeah. Well, I'll just say this though. Did I tell you or did I tell you? This one's a pretty bad stinker.
Yeah, but unlike Book of Aaron, this wasn't fun. Oh really? Book of Aaron was
Yeah.
at the very least fun. This
Like,
is not fun.
It's like you said. It comes down to the fact that those movies were terrible, but they were at least more coherent. Like, the plots were terrible, but at least you could register them. Like I said, I'd argue that if you haven't read the books like I have, and even still, this goes against the book so much. Despite that, you arguably need the books to get a better understanding. Otherwise, you're going to be scrambling to figure out what's going on because this movie moves so fast.
I am, like, I might as well say this as well out loud because right now those commentaries are being made public anyway. I am so appreciative right now of Isao Takahata's slow pacing because this movie could definitely use a bit of that in its life.
Like, yeah.
Jesus Christ, nothing is allowed for, like Shira said, nothing is, never at any moment does this movie allows itself to just slow the fuck down and allow the audience to actually absorb what the fuck is going on. Seriously, I could not for the life of me follow any of this crap because the movie doesn't even allow. This movie doesn't. Okay, you want to follow up what's going on in this movie? Make sure you're fucking paying the utmost of. Okay, see, here's the thing. At least with Tenet, when you the undivided attention the Tenet demands of you is rewarded with some amazing action sequences, some incredibly creative story beats. This. No, there is no reward for the undivided attention this movie demands from you. Not that I can tell.
You'll arguably get an even worse experience when you actually take your time to notice all the flaws and plot holes in this movie. I assure you, I probably didn't even cover all of them because there is just not enough time.
Not to mention, Tenet actually slows down to explain shit when necessary. This movie doesn't give a rat's ass whether or not you know anything, and just let's go, and just goes from plot beat to plot beat at the breakneck speed. And hope you read the books. Oh wait, if you read the books, you're gonna be pissed off. So nobody wins.
I don't Disney want to be honest. I don't think they made much of a profit from this film.
Okay. I barely had anything to say, actually, because again, I have no idea what I just sat through. A bunch of characters bickering with each other, some really stupid body humor, some really misplaced effects. There was a war apparently going on because of that MacGuffin that can do things. I could not for the life of me follow any of this shit because the movie couldn't be bothered to actually ease me into the world. It just shoves it. This is the problem. Kenneth Branagh, which is interesting because Kenneth Branagh did Thor, which was also a fantasy weird, out of the realistic type of world. But unlike, okay, see, here's the thing. Here's the major problem with this movie. This is a fantasy movie where Kenneth Branagh doesn't invite you into the fantasy world at all. Instead, he shoves it down your throat and just
like the dirt into Deacon's mouth.
No, it chokes you into submission with it, honestly.
And he chokes you into that's a good analogy. And chokes you into submission. It demands that you just eat it all up, regardless of how much he asks you. Please let me slow down a bit and chew a bit of it. No chewing. Just swallow. Don't chew any of this crap. Ugh. That's not how a true craftsman treats the audience. This is rape. No, I'm not kidding. This is basically the film equivalent of audience rape. Like just shoving the fantasy world and the characters down the never at any point.
Wow, that's the first time I've ever heard you describe a movie as that. Like this one really got to you.
Well, not so much. It's not so much that, Job. I can tell you of other movies like Lady in the Water. Lady in the Water is another great example of a movie that's just shoves the fantasy world down your throat and demands that you accept it, no matter how ridiculous it is, without any attempt to try to ease the audience into the fantasy elements, like a good storyteller should. This is why I call it audience rape. You're not like you're just immediately not even bothering to make sure that the audience is actually willing to consent on what you want. So yeah, that's what I said. This is basically the film equivalent of of rape in the sense of like you're literally not allowing the audience to, agree to any of this. You're just here's the thing, blah blah blah, accept it. No, this is not how a true craftsman handles a fantasy film. No, sorry, Kenneth. Sorry. So no,
better.
Sorry.
He's done better than this. What the hell happened here?
This. I know. That's why I'm sad.
I mean, this is like a major fall from grace. Like, at worst, I'd say he's done decent before this, but again, this is prime, one of the worst films of all time tier material.
Okay. The point is, yeah, this doesn't work. It's nonsensical. It's impossible to follow unless you're only fans of the book will have even a basic sense of what the fuck is going on. And even then, that in itself is a double-edged sword because you'll gain a whole new layer of unenjoyment if you're a fan of the books. So yeah, no. Who exactly was this movie made for? Newcomers? Okay, nope, definitely not. Fans of the material? Doesn't seem like it based on what I just heard. So which means I have to ask, who the fuck was this movie made for?
Disney, because they apparently thought that a child being the villain was a bad thing, so they had to turn him into a generic Harry Potter-esque hero. You know, ignoring the fact that this book series has sold literally over 250 million. Like, here's what I ask. Why did you bother adapting? Why did you bother putting out this movie with so clearly a lack of faith in the source material? Do you just get off on buying up rights so you can tout them and try and convince them, no, this is what we really want? Go on, Phaedra.
Yeah. I have no idea what the hell just happened. I have no idea what the fuck this was. A fucking mess is what it is. And I don't really, and at this point I'm just kind of done, and I don't really want to watch this again because like I said, this movie raped me. So I want to arrest this movie. Please, someone do something.
Well, if it's any consolation, this movie pretty much all. Well,
Okay.
let me
Now
put
I
it
can
this
actually properly explain it to you. But actually, no, go ahead and finish. Sorry.
I think it's safe to say this movie pretty much killed any chances of there being a sequel. Despite the sequence, like, I'll say this.
What are you talking about, Joe? But that Last Airbender 2 is totally still coming, according to
As
Shyamalan.
Disney released an official statement, like on the future of a franchise, sure, I get
Nope.
the idea. We haven't seen anything on the Disney Investors Day, so that should be a given. But more in a sense of, oh, we might still be working on it. Seems like or stuff like similar to stuff like how long we took to make the Enchanted sequel.
Let me just check to be sure. No, I'm not seeing any news whatsoever about the future for this.
At best, we'll only get another attempt like 10, 15 years from now.
Okay,
Probably.
you know what, if I may, here's the real frustrating thing about this. Knowing Disney, being Disney, they're going to look at this failure and think, well, the smart thing to think would be, well, crap, we really messed up stuff. Maybe we should try again, but do it better. No. Their mentality is going to be, oh, well, clearly there's not an audience for Artemis Fowl. It doesn't need a movie series or whatnot. And we'll probably have to wait years on end, just like the Perseus Jackson fanbase had to wait years on end after, well, those
Which, ironically enough,
happened.
it seems that Disney is the one trying to revitalize it.
It's just so frustrating, though. Like, the problem is normally obvious to everyone but Disney themselves, because they hate admitting when they've downright done wrong.
Mm-hmm. You see, Joe, let me put it this way, Joe. Like it really, like I myself already said, yeah, it's definitely more coherent. But I will say this: when it comes to getting shit wrong, when it comes to getting characters wrong, based on what you've been saying, yeah, a lot of the same character getting wrong issues are common with Anno in a lot of ways, because plenty of characters in Anno are flat out reinvented, and not for the better, I will say. But whatever, I'm done. This was a thing, I guess, and I don't really want to watch it again because it's unpleasant for all the reasons I've already explained. So,
Tio.
Sure. This is a mess. Judging from what Jova said, as an adaptation, it doesn't work. As a movie on its own, I could get what the plot and the major characters were supposed to be, but it still doesn't work. Again, that extra half an hour probably would have helped immensely. And again, my question is, who specifically did drop the ball in this? I can't believe it was Kenneth Branagh alone. I can't believe it was even part of a team, since they're all Irish. They seem to be understanding the source material to a degree. So what the fuck happened? Was it like an executive mandate from Disney?
Possible.
Did whoever was in charge just stormed into the relevant team and said, this film took already too long to be made, you have to finish it now, go.
I could see Disney also being behind some of the weird casting hires, like, again, changing Root into a female, despite, again, that taking away from the potential story of Holly having to deal with the inherent sexism.
Yeah, which goes in kind of contrast in what Disney is doing in trying to promote, more underdog and in general female characters that want to establish their own independence in an environment that is against them. Again, this was the occasion where they had a natural thing to adapt here instead of shoehorning in like in Captain Marvel. So this feels odd, the fact that they changed hero places. And I cannot even believe it's like an experimentation thing, they used the Maleficent sequel, the excuse to have a villain that is not sympathetic or has a tragic backstory, but just a dick. No, I cannot believe it's that simple as a case. The one thing that I will give to the movie is the costume design and most of the special effects. I really do like how the technological. If you know me, you know that I mostly don't like when they try to have a urban fantasy kind of like setting where the fairyland creatures are more inserted in a modern context. But the costume design and technology used here makes it more appealing to me. it's a shame that it's just wasted for a plot that stalls for most of its time into the Powell mansion. The main hero and the main villain don't even meet face to face with each other. We don't even get to see the face of the main villain. Like again, like Joe mentioned, like she's fucking Dr. Claw.
Which is, again,
Um,
it's the opposite. Opal was all about showing her face when it was applicable. Like,
we barely see a friction. Sorry, a fiction. Like a minuscule part of the powers Opal can use. Apparently that's the thing. She can either whisk away people or crystallize them.
which again goes
Hooray.
against her character. She was more of a techno-wish. She combined magic with science. You know, kind
Also,
of like
just-
Doctor Doom.
Since you mentioned about the good publicity, I get the idea potentially that her reveal as a villain was also more, for not foreshadow, but subtle in a sense that she might not even start out as a villain, but then gets revealed later on.
Well, here's the problem. By the end of the film, Leprechaun
I'm
know
talking
that
about
she's...
the books, Jova.
Well, that's the thing. Even Lep didn't know she was a bad guy in the books.
Okay. No, I just
well-
wanted to know if she was a case similar to, say, Aizen from Bleach.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, like I said, she had good publicity to the point where practically half of the fairy world was using her tech, including the police force themselves, which again is what made the coup all the more astute, because she could essentially control the tech when the time came to, pull the coup.
Okay, but let me get back onto the movie itself. Like I said, we spent most of the action just in one location, Artemis barely feels like the main protagonist. I sadly have to agree onto that. Like, I like most of the other actors being cast, outside of the drastic changes from the book. Even some of the humor given to Mulch, it would be fine if we just didn't waste most of it with the gross out stuff. What is this, a Nickelodeon product now? But and then the simple fact that everything is rushed to meet the end. Again, I can believe in this particular franchise, in this world, but it just needed a bit more time to digest everything. And I cannot believe Disney decided to release a 90-minute product of this kind of caliber these days. Especially where these days the normal standard for a movie is at least 2 hours, if not more. And I cannot even believe like they were scared of releasing a longer adaptation, especially thanks to the Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, and Harry Potter movies as the time went on became longer and longer. Believe that the audience can actually sustain more time, so you can actually explain the setting and the characters a bit more fleshed out. Which reminds me, Butler's niece, which was supposed to be her sister, she's barely a thing in this movie, and when the time she appears, it's very distasteful potentially.
And again, maybe she would have had more to do if Artemis's mother was still alive, like she was in the books. But no, mother's dead because Disney got a Disney.
Okay, I will say that this is worse than Lester Bender on a lot of aspects, but Lester Bender is worse than this on some others. So you know what? I'm gonna draw a circle and put the yin and yang symbol in there. There you go. These two
Beautiful.
movies complement each other into a circle of shite.
It's the circle of shite.
Isn't it magical? If you want to watch something that has Irish folklore but don't want to get a migraine, go watch Song of the Sea. It's much better. It's 2D animated. It's good for you to support the animation team.
Cartoon Saloon is always good, yes.
I haven't seen yet Wolf Walkers, but I'm confident that one is good too. But I'm digressing. This is just horrible. I don't regret having seen this because I was curious, but I wouldn't probably watch it on my own, especially for that sequence in Sicily, but whatever. So at least I got my curiosity removed on this. Thanks to Jova for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
Next. Finish off, please. Oh no.
It's
He's gonna
not
scream
very,
again.
All right, Jova, before you start,
it's not very
to
good.
call back to your earlier analogy, how burnt is this turkey?
Shiroi, it's so burnt that it came from one of the magma chutes that the fair folk used to shoot up their pots on the center of the
Straight
earth.
from the Etna. Got it.
Understandable.
Have a great day.
Holy! Again, this is not good. I mean, yeah, that's the understatement of the millennium, but I mean, wow, this movie is just bad from every angle you look at it. Like, let's be the most generous you can and imagine you literally just noticed this movie out of nowhere and you managed to duck across all the controversy that was spouting from it during its, let's call it hype phase, I think. Even though a lot of people were, well, yeah, technically hyped, but in all the wrong ways. It's an incoherent, poorly written mess that has a plot that jumps around on a pogo stick from continent to continent, and you will barely be able to keep up with it. It just drags you along for the ride. And there are no brakes on this train. So, coming from the perspective of somebody who's read the books, I can sort of understand the plot better because a lot of stuff that was explained better in the books is, well, absent or outright deleted in this version. But holy cow, I'd argue that makes it even worse because this feels, well, I think I made it clear, this movie feels like an insult to the books, but man, does it feel like a slap in the face, a middle finger, and mud being slipped into your eyes. Like, again, for as much as I ranted and raved, I didn't even cover everything wrong with this movie over the course of it. Even though it probably feels like I did, oh no, there's just too much. And like, I get it. Sometimes you have to change things in adaptations, but just about every change they made things worse. Or just didn't make any sense. Like I said, making the butlers black. That just leads to implications of slavery. Killing off Artemis's mother, well, yeah, that takes away the motivation you're going to have for book 6. And they clearly were planning for sequels, so I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Like, and you know, you could have, look, as far as anyone knew in the first book, his dad was dead, so if you really needed the dead parent, just say his dad's dead until you get to the events of the second book, which, yeah, by then it's revealed that he's alive, but still, though, like, I am baffled. Like, it is rare that I see a time when an adaptation just changes things so blatantly for the worse. Don't get me wrong, I've seen bad adaptations, but at least a lot of the bad ones I've seen at least have like one or a few changes, but no changes, at least no massive changes that this made, worked in this movie's favor. Sure, there were some funny line reads, but that had nothing to do with the changes made in the adaptation. In fact, some of the best lines of this movie are literally lines taken from the book and not changed. Kinda says a lot now, doesn't it? Like, again, you had the source material literally in your laps, but apparently it wasn't good enough for you. So you made this. You turned Artemis into a generic hero. You turned Holly into much less of the respectable officer she is in the books, and she's more a giddy, not quite carefree, but instead of a no-nonsense cop who has to deal with sexism of, you know, her entire freaking species, she's just your typical hero who has to restore their family name because dad did something that everyone thought was evil, but actually it turned out was for the good of the people.
The greater good.
You turned Opal into a generic fairy supremacist instead of just being the rich token asshole that she was. And, well, I guess you technically made her more selfless, but again, more generic. You turn Artemis Fowl's father into a generic dad who loves his kids but can't be around that much because he's actually stealing to protect us from the things we don't know are out there, and good God. And somehow, look, the books did a good job explaining how Artemis could think of solutions that other people hadn't. In this one, Artemis has to be told a lot of the stuff before he starts solving stuff himself properly. Like, for a moment, it's Butler leading him by the hand, which is not how it's supposed to be. Nothing overall works in this movie. Why did they cast Josh Gad as Hagrid? Sorry, I mean Mold Stiggums. Like, seriously.
And seriously, he for most of his appearance, he really behaves kind of like Jack Black.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, I definitely find it a worse adaptation than Dragon Ball Evolution. At least Dragon Ball Evolution knew which morals the characters were supposed to stay the side on. As for comparing it to Last Airbender, I think I'm going to do something similar to Tio, and I'm going to say they are equally among my most hated adaptations. And do not get me wrong, that is not easily said. Like, Artemis Fowl had to work its butt off. It is a sad case where the actors are definitely giving it their all, which is more than can be said for the actors in The Last Airbender. Granted, maybe you could blame that on them being directed by M. Night Shyamalan, but still, though, like, I mean, I really do get that these actors are all trying. Like, if I can give this movie one thing, the acting does feel believable. Problem is the script. That script is just... wow. Ooh, it stings from a mile away. They got constant stuff from the book lore wrong, like how the time freeze works, the rules and laws here and there. And may I remind you, despite it being very essential that humans not find out about the fairy folk, this movie literally is practically about a dwarf telling them that fairies exist and everything. And mind you, again, this didn't happen in the book, which might as well be my freaking catchphrase of this commentary. Like, that said, it is a fun movie to dissect when I have friends to do it with. But you know what? Well, okay, I mean in the sense that, like, I'll admit, I was looking forward to ripping this movie a new one. That said, though, that's not a proper praise. That's just some sick enjoyment I get out of this, and even still, I'm not even sure if I can call it true enjoyment, because it's painful knowing that this will probably be the last chance Artemis Fowl gets as a movie for quite some time, unless Disney nut up and realize, oh yeah, that was our bad. And I feel especially sorry for Deus Shaw. Like, this is the child's debut movie. Like,
does he have anything planned for his career? Let me check.
Not from what I've heard.
Please continue in the meantime.
Oh god, it's just... I suppose the music is the one thing that's not offensive in this movie.
Very forgettable, if I have to be honest.
It is forgettable. It has some nice sweltering bits here and there, but it's mainly white noise anyway. The fight scenes are terrible. Why is Artemis fighting? Artemis does not fight. Again, at least not this early in the series. He is, quoted, allergic to exercise, essentially. And yet here he is, fighting hand-to-hand with the fairies. Never mind the fact that his own bodyguard is letting him join the danger. Butler was a pro at this stuff. He would not willingly let Artemis get in the line of fire like this. And you may wonder, why did they even need to do that if the main goal was to shoot down the time stopper freezer? Because they could have done that from any vantage point, technically, since they turned the weapon into a bow and arrow. Never mind the fact that it's a deleted scene that explains that it can turn into a bow and arrow, so...
Also, I checked the Jova, and sadly, no. Deus Shaw is only this under his career belt right now.
Ooh.
Aside from appearing as himself in a couple of, like, game shows.
This may be a career killer for him. And, oh god.
So just like with Noah Ringer.
I mean, I guess...
Well, no, Ringer had one movie afterwards.
Which was also...
But that movie was greenlit before Last Airbender came out.
True. He does have a point.
I still consider that a pre-Last Airbender movie.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Like, for all we know, he may have been acting in both Last Airbender and Cowboys and Aliens simultaneously. Like, And even still, Cowboys and Aliens apparently didn't do any favors for his career anyway. But I can definitely see Last Airbender being the one that killed it for him. Just like this may be what kills it for Freya Shaw. Because, like I said, for as much as I hate this movie with a passion, the actors are giving it their all. And Freya Shaw does look the part. I have no doubts he could have played a remarkable Artemis Fowl if he had the right script, but that is just it. The power of the story and the script are that powerful over this. Like heck, the effects are, well, okay, they're great in a lot of areas. They are horrifying in certain other ones. And I just wonder why, Disney? Why did you want to render it like this? And you know what? Here's the real frustrating thing. A company like Disney has the money to properly bring this world to life. They could have done something remarkable with this. What they chose to do with that money is questionable at times, let's just say. And it's frustrating. So frustrating. Artemis is not a criminal mastermind in this. He was supposed to be, but he is not. He is a generic hero. He has to be told a lot of things that he learned himself in the book, which takes away from his supposed genius. Opal Cowboy isn't even really shown as the genius rivaling him, really. She seems to rely more on might than her smarts. And honestly, let's assume Artemis wasn't a genius. Do you honestly expect a 12-year-old boy to find in 3 days the Alchemist, which even the freaking Leprechaun had trouble finding, even though the movie states that the Leprechaun were keeping tabs on the Fowls all this time, because Commander Root apparently knew that Artemis Fowl Sr. had the Alchemist. So again, why did nobody ever just, search the Fowl House? Plot could have been solved easily. Oh, God.
Feel better, Jobber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, this movie takes you to places, man. It takes you to some pretty dark places in your mind when you think about it.
Look at it this way, Jova. We don't really have to see this potentially again, at least for a very long time.
Yeah. So, that was Artemis Fowl. I hope you all enjoyed the ride.
Maybe next time we'll do the Percy Jackson movies. Why not?
Oh yeah. Well,
Anticipation for when Disney does the TV show of that.
You know what? I just have this to go off on. We have covered some adaptations in this recent run of movies. We covered Goldfinger, an adaptation of a book, which we could argue did it better than the book. We covered Prince Caspian, an adaptation which was more or less on the level with its book. So, to complete the spectrum, there's this. I think we can agree that this is worse than the book.
So, see you for whatever we do next, folks.
See you then.
See ya.
See ya.